All right. Good afternoon there. My name is Tanisha. And I
And
got,
I'm Chris.
and we
I'm
are, sorry about that. Go ahead, Chris. My apologies.
No, you're fine. We're with Tampa Hillsborough County Public Library, and we're happy to have you here this afternoon for our program, Keeping Track with Google. Tanisha is going to be the teacher today. And before she starts up, I just wanted to give you a few pieces of information. This program is part of our summer reading series. And to learn more about our summer reading programs, activities, and prizes, you can go to our website at hcplc.org/summer. Now, if you're watching live today, which you are, you're with us right now, you can participate by asking questions. In your control panel, there is a question section, and you can enter your questions there, and we're going to do our best to answer them at the end of the program. Also, at the very end of the program, there's going to be a brief survey that pops up. We'd love it to hear about your experience. It'll help us to plan future sessions. And if you're having connection issues, we're also going to be posting this to our YouTube channel. So don't worry if you're having issues watching today, you can watch it later. And that's all. I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to Tanisha, and thanks again for being here.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on in. First thing I'm going to go ahead and do is turn off my webcam so that we can go ahead and get started. So we have a quick little book shout out for you today. It is Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity by David Allen. It is a book that I read a few years ago, and it was really, really helpful, not only for the workplace, but just for getting your whole life in order. It gives you a lot of useful tips and tricks. It's not necessarily about like making to-do list or doing some of the more tactile things, but just about wrapping your brain around productivity and how to like mentally prep yourself to be a more productive person. So I thought it was a very good book. Since we're talking a little bit about organization and keeping track of things, I thought this would be a good book to share. It is available on Overdrive via our Libby app. If you go to hcplc.org/ebooks, you will find it there. So let's go ahead and let's get to the meat. Let's get to the good part. So we're going to go ahead and talk about Google Keep. So keeping track with Google. Google Keep is an app that I have been using for several years now, not only in the workplace, but for personal things. It's just very, very useful. I'm personally a big fan of it, and I don't hear about a ton of other people using it, which is why I wanted to put together a little program about it to introduce people to it. Most people out there, you already are you're very familiar with Google. Like we call searching for something on the internet Googling it. You probably have Google Maps on your phone. You probably have, let's see, you got Google Maps, you're Googling stuff. You have Gmail, you use Google Calendar. So a lot of people out there are probably already very familiar with the Google Suite, and Keep is one of the items that is on there. So why use Google Keep? Perhaps my favorite part is it's a great way of staying organized on the go. So we will be exploring the desktop version today. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. We'll also be diving in a little bit to the app version, which is probably the one that would be used the most because I have it installed on my personal computer via Chrome or via my web browser. I have it on my phone and I also have it on my iPad. So I have it on several devices. Speaking of that, it updates in real time across multiple platforms and devices. And I'm going to display what that means here in a minute. But my perfect example is my parents use it. My mom and my dad, they use it to keep their household organized. So let's say, for example, you wanted to send your significant other to the grocery store. You're able to share a list on Keep and, write in your little list, and it'll make some more sense here in a minute, what you want at the grocery store. Let's say that you forget something and your significant other has already left. You can add that extra thing on your list and Keep, and it'll immediately show up on their end too. So it's a really, really great way of keeping yourself organized and up to date on multiple platforms and devices. And this is also one of my favorite parts. It's good for all types of people, for visual people, auditory people, or kinesthetic, tactile people. you can take notes any way you want. You can draw, you can do voice notes, you can do photos, you can do links, you can do checklists. You can do all types of stuff on here. So let's go ahead and dive in to the desktop. All right, so the website that you would want to go to is keep.google.com. I went ahead and highlighted it here so you could see. So if you're using this on a desktop or a laptop computer, that's the website that you would want to go to. If you were using it on a mobile device like a tablet or a phone, you would go to your app store and you would just look up Google Keep and you'd be able to look for it that way. This little symbol here is the app symbol that'll be on your phone or your tablet. So that's what you would be looking for on your phone or your tablet. So let's get a brief overview of the screen here. If you are already familiar with Chrome and if you're already familiar with Google products, this is all going to look pretty familiar to you. On your left-hand side, you have your toolbar here. So all the different things that you can use. Some of these will make more sense here in a minute. So notes, reminders, edit labels. If you wanted to add labels to your notes, like if you wanted to categorize them even more, like if you wanted all of your grocery list in one place, if you wanted all of something else in another place, you could do that. We're not going to dive too much into that today. You can also archive notes. So let's say you don't necessarily want to trash your notes, like you don't want to automatically delete them, but you also don't want them on your main page. So you are able to archive them. And that's a way of saving old notes that you could quickly retrieve just in case. Here is where you would take a note. So if you were ready to put a new note, you would go ahead and write what you wanted in here. And that's a way for you to write new notes. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Up on the top here, you can see here, this is actually the refreshing thing here. It keeps on trying to refresh. Because like I mentioned before, I had Keep on my iPad and on my phone. So every time I change something, it's automatically changing it on those devices as well. List view, if you wanted so right now it's in grid view. If you wanted it to be a little bit more streamlined, you could put your notes in list view. I'm going to take it back to grid view because that's just a personal preference of mine. And of course, settings, which, everybody's pretty familiar with. So let's jump into the different types of notes. So I mentioned earlier, grocery lists. So you notice here that there's this word pen. So if there is a list that is important to you that you want to see the first time you open up that app or the first time you open up that web page, you can pin it to the top of your Keep. So I'm going to unpin real quick so you can see what that means. So if I unpin my grocery list, it's just going to show up with the rest of my notes. But if I want to keep that pin, if I want to keep my grocery list pinned to the top, which I actually do on my personal Keep because, I had to make a grocery list every week, you can keep it there. So you can also change the colors of your notes. So here, if you want it to be green, I have it red now. You can change the colors. You can see here what I did so the notes stick out a little bit more. So first type of list we're going to make is we're going to make a list with checkboxes. So I am going to open this up. I'm actually going to hide the checkboxes. This is going to make more sense here in a minute. So grocery list. So let's say we need eggs, butter, cheese. So I know I went on a dairy run there too. So let's say that I need some eggs, some butters, and some cheese. Now you can keep, when you're done typing, I can keep the list like this, but it's still a little hard to read. And if let's say you're taking this into the grocery store, you want to be able to check those things off as you get them. So if you go to the three dots, I don't know what else to call it, but the three dots, you go to the three dots here, show checkboxes. So this way, if you're using Google Keep in the grocery store, you can have your phone open, and as you pick up the eggs, as you pick up the butter, and as you pick up the cheese, you can go ahead and check those off as you go down. So you're able to check off the things on your list that you have. And let's say that, oops, I accidentally checked it off and I didn't get it yet. You can just go ahead and uncheck it and it'll go back. So that's our first list there, is our grocery list. So the first type of list you can do is a grocery list. So reminders, this is also really good. let's say that you're getting yourself ready at the beginning of the day and you want to remember when you get home from work to take out the trash, but you remembered it now, but you don't need to do it until you get home from work. So I'm going to type in this note, take out the trash. So now you can keep it in, keep the way just like that. But let's say you want to remember, like I said, you want to remember to take out the trash when you get home from work. So let's say that you get out of work at 5:30. The very first icon here, when you hover over it, says remind me. So you can click on that. You can go down to pick date and time. You can also pick place. I'm not a big fan of sharing my location, so I tend to keep that one off. But you can pick the date and time. So let's say I want to remember to take out the trash in the evening at 6 o'clock. And I don't need to take it out tomorrow, so I don't want it to repeat. So I hit save. That means that Google Keep will now push a notification to your phone or your tablet or your desktop if you're on your computer at 6 o'clock saying, hey, at 6 o'clock today, you need to take out the trash. So that's one other note that you could do. Next one, and this one's pretty cool. So let's say that you're browsing, you're on your phone, you're browsing websites. For example, earlier this week, I've gotten really big into growing succulents. There's a couple of websites that I saw that I was like, oh, let me bookmark this website. But, my bookmarks on my actual browser were getting a little bit out of control, and I really wanted to make sure that I could come back to this link. Let's say, for instance, you wanted to save the libraries link. So I can go here, I'm going to highlight the library's webpage. I'm going to go ahead and copy it. Go back here. I'm going to paste, and I'm going to close out my note. We're going to wait just a second here because it'll also create a link on the bottom here, hopefully, or it should. We'll go ahead and wait a little moment here. Sometimes it takes a minute for the link to create. While we're waiting for that, let's try something else. Let's say you wanted to create a link for ebooks. So we'll go to Overdrive, one of our ebook platforms. I will go here. I will go ahead and copy in that link, and I will close. There we go. So now it wants to show up. So you'll notice here on the bottom of the link, it'll create a really easy tappable link for you. It looks a little bit different on the desktop version, but if you're looking at this on a tablet or a phone, all I would have to do instead of trying to tap that teeny tiny little part in here, I can just tap this larger link and I can go straight to where I want to go. So let's see, we're getting into cooler and cooler features of this app. So you'll notice here on the bottom that I have two pictures. So I got a picture, really cool picture of the Louvre here. So I'm going to click on this note. So some of you guys out there may be drawers, like you like to draw on things, you like to scribble something really quick onto a note. So if I click on the little three dots, I'm going to click on Add Drawing. And let's say on the note, I want to write, and this is really hard to write with my mouse cursor. Hopefully that is legible. But imagine doing this with like your finger or a stylus on your phone or your tablet. So I can create this note to put over my picture. And when you're done, I just go back. And actually, this is a good time to, there we go. My bad, I did that wrong, so let me do it the right way now. We don't want that pen to be, I'm going to do fuchsia, it's one of my favorite colors. Let's make it a little bit thicker. you can, it's highlighting, but you get the point, right over your photo. And imagine if it was a PDF or something you can highlight. So I'll write that again. So you can see I can write over photos. So let's say, for instance, my sister uses this when she goes to restaurants. So she doesn't order the same thing over and over again. That's a great example, is that she will write, like put a little check marks or a little X next to the things that she's ordered so she won't order them again. So I'm going to remove that because I was a little bit wrong, and I can close. So another cool feature of using Keep is the ability to be able to draw over pictures. This one is actually pretty cool here too. So image text grab. So let's say that you're traveling or you're out and you take a picture of something that has text in it. Maybe you can't quite read the text in the picture. This one is pretty clear, but sometimes you can't see what the text in the picture says, or you just want to be able to read it without necessarily looking on the picture. So this one says here, you see that there's some text in there, and let's say you just want to grab the text out of the image. This will make sense here in a minute. So if I click on the three dots, grab image text, on the bottom here, it will pull the text from the image. So this is the sign, and you can see it's not exactly perfect because it says you've been, and it made that up, looking for. Now this made me crack up when I was putting this together. So way on the bottom here, it does indeed say Nose Jewelry. So it is pulling every single part of the text that is in that video or in that photo. So as I mentioned before, there's maybe even text in there that you didn't see. And let's say that you were trying to put a slideshow together for your little ones and you wanted to make sure that there wasn't some hidden text in there. This is a prime example of why grabbing the text from the image is a good idea, so you can see everything text-wise that's in there. Let's see. And again, just to go over drawing notes, I did kind of demo that before, but again, if you have a phone or a tablet, you're more of I like to draw things. I know a lot of people with their notes app, they like to draw instead of texting and writing stuff down. I understand that. I'm a faster typer than texter. So you see before, for my cursor before, I can just write, a quick note to myself. It's sunny outside, so I'm just going to write sunny. So that's another cool way to keep track of things. And last but not least, so as I said before, with the really cool things about what Google Keep does is that it operates in real time. So for voice memos, what I found out actually earlier when I was prepping this class is that you're not able to record voice memos using the desktop version. However, you are able to record voice memos using the app or using the app version either on your smartphone or your tablet. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually on my phone right now. I am going to record a voice memo. So remember, whenever you want to create a new memo or create a new note, you would go up to the top here where it says take a note. I'm essentially doing the same thing on my phone to create a voice memo. When you're doing it on the app version on a phone or a tablet, there's actually a little microphone symbol. And again, I'm doing this on my phone, which unfortunately I can't display using GoToWebinar, but I am doing it, and it's going to make a lot of sense here in a minute. So I'm clicking on my phone on the microphone. So I am recording a note right now for my Google Keep program to display how the app updates in real time. And you'll see on the screen here in a minute, that note that I just made will, where it says empty note, that's that note writing itself right now, show up. So I've just created the note, and you'll see I did that on my phone. The note's already sitting here for what I recorded earlier. I'm recording a note right now for my Google Keep program to display how the app will update in real time. So let's say that you're driving, or you're doing something where you shouldn't be writing or you shouldn't be texting. It's a great idea. Oh, that's right. I need to remind myself, A, B, C, or D. Or like, oh, remind so-and-so to take out the trash. That is one thing and one way that you can do that. And again, it updates in real time. So I was able to do that on my phone, and directly after I did it, it was able to show up here on the desktop version. And also, like I mentioned before, with being able to share that grocery list, you can add a collaborator. And here, that's me. You can, like, if there's somebody else that you wanted to share it with, you would be able to type in their name and you'd be able to share the note. All right, so that is it for my version. So if there are any questions, please let me know, and we'll go ahead and take the time to take any questions.
Okay. You may have already answered this one, but I'll ask it. Is this app available for Apple devices?
Absolutely. I have a Mac, an iPad, and an iPhone. I have all three, and I use Google Keep. I am currently presenting this on a Mac, and I use my iPhone to do the voice memo. So absolutely.
All right. Someone would like to know, is there a limit on how many notes, documents, or images you can create in Google Keep? Have you encountered any sort of limit at all?
No, I've been using this app for about 5 years now, and I have taken hundreds of notes with hundreds of documents and hundreds of everything and pictures and everything, and I have yet to see a limit.
Well, that's great. Well, we'll give a few more moments here. If anyone has any further questions, we'll be happy to answer them. See the others coming in at the time. We'll give it a few more moments. Have you used this app offline? Like if you're not connected to Wi-Fi, are you able to bring up any information, or do you need to be connected? I imagine you probably do need to be connected to like a Wi-Fi or data plan.
Yeah, so it definitely needs, for it to do the features that I mentioned, like being able to update in real time, you do have to be connected to Wi-Fi or some sort of cellular plan for that to work. Now, you are able to make notes offline, so like not being connected to some sort of network isn't going to keep you from making notes. It's just that seamless updating won't happen until you're later connected. So like, let's say you are in a place that has horrible service, like you are still able to type something out, and then it'll just update to all of your other devices later when you are connected to a network.
Great. Well, all right. Looks like that's it for questions. Thank you, Tunisia, for that great presentation. We'll go back into the slideshow, and we'll just bring up our last slide before we end our session today. Now, if you have any other questions, you can contact us directly at the phone number here at 813-273-3652. Or you can go online as well to hcplc.org/about/contact. And also, again, I'd like to plug our library summer schedule. You can access that at hcplc.org/summer, and you can learn all about our activities and reading and contests that we're having this summer. And of course, you'll see the URL for the Google Keep. You can go there and learn more and find out how you can download it to your computer or your devices. Thank you very much, Tunisia, and thank you everyone for attending today.
Yes, thank you.
All right, well, everyone have a great afternoon, a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. Bye.